Welcome back to Old Coin Adventures. Most people wouldn't think twice about a tiny silver dime. After all, it's one of the smallest coins America has ever produced. But one extraordinary example has sold for more than $200,000. Not because it contains rare silver, not because it belonged to a famous president, but because of a single letter, a tiny mint mark, so small that millions of people never even noticed it. Yet that one letter transformed an ordinary 10-cent coin into one of the most legendary treasures in American numismatic history. Today, we're uncovering the remarkable story of the 1916 Mercury Dime. We'll discover why so few were ever struck, how one quiet decision inside the Denver Mint created an instant rarity, why collectors spent generations searching for it, and how this forgotten pocket coin became one of the most coveted American dimes ever produced. To understand its extraordinary journey, we have to return to an America standing at the beginning of a brand new century. The year was 1916. Across the nation, factories were expanding faster than ever before. Automobiles were steadily replacing horse-drawn wagons. American cities were growing with astonishing speed. The country was changing, and so was its money. For more than 20 years, Americans had carried the familiar barber coinage. The designs were respected, but many believed they no longer reflected the confidence of a nation moving boldly into the modern world. Artists wanted something more inspiring. Government officials agreed. The United States Mint approved one of the most ambitious redesign projects in its history. Every circulating silver coin would receive an entirely new appearance. Among those new designs was a breathtaking dime that looked unlike anything Americans had ever carried before. Its graceful portrait showed liberty wearing a winged cap, a powerful symbol of freedom of thought. Although generations of Americans would come to know it as the Mercury Dime, the figure was never Mercury. It was Liberty herself, confident, fearless, a perfect reflection of a nation embracing the future. The responsibility for creating this masterpiece fell to one of America's most gifted sculptors, Adolph Weinman. He wasn't simply designing another coin. He was creating a work of art that millions of Americans would carry through their everyday lives. Every curve, every detail, every carefully engraved line was designed to tell a story. When the first Mercury Dimes left the mint, everything appeared to be a complete success. Collectors admired the design. The public welcomed it. Even mint officials believed they had created one of the finest coins in American history. But hundreds of miles away, inside the Denver Mint, a quiet production decision was unfolding. A decision so ordinary that almost nobody noticed it. Yet more than a century later, collectors would still be talking about that single moment, because that quiet decision would create the most sought-after Mercury dime ever struck. And it all came down to one tiny letter, the mintage nobody thought would matter. When the Mercury dime officially entered circulation in late 1916, 264,000 Mercury dimes had been struck at the Denver Mint during 1916. For years, the 1916 Mercury dime remained exactly what it had always been. Pocket change. People spent it without hesitation. Children carried it to candy stores. Workers used it for streetcar fares. Shopkeepers dropped it into cash registers, never imagining they were handling one of the rarest dimes America would ever produce. As the decades passed, time quietly began doing what it always does. Coins became worn. Details faded. Edges softened. Many disappeared forever. Some were melted for their silver. Others were lost inside forgotten drawers, old piggy banks, or simply vanished into history. America's passion for coin collecting exploded. Collectors across the country began building complete Mercury dime collections. At first, everything seemed straightforward. Most dates could still be purchased with enough patience. But one coin kept refusing to appear. The 1916 D. It didn't matter how many coin shops collectors visited. It didn't matter how many auctions they attended. The same frustrating question echoed again and again. Do you have a 1916 D? More often than not, the answer was exactly the same. No. That single word only made collectors want it even more. Demand continued growing, but the supply never changed. For the first time, people realized they weren't searching for just another Mercury dime. They were chasing the key to the entire series. Prices began climbing, slowly at first, but far faster than anyone expected. A coin that once bought lunch soon became worth hundreds of dollars, then thousands, then tens of thousands. Every surviving example suddenly mattered. Collectors carefully examined every detail, every scratch, every mark, every tiny sign of wear. Condition became everything. A heavily circulated example still attracted serious buyers. But coins with sharp details, original surfaces, and strong full bands on the reverse became the ultimate prize. Counterfeiters. Some criminals removed mint marks from common coins. Others added fake mint marks, hoping to fool inexperienced buyers. The deception became so convincing that professional authentication became absolutely essential. Today, collectors trust organizations like PCGS and NGC to separate genuine treasures from expensive imitations. Because when one tiny letter can increase a coin's value by hundreds of thousands of dollars, trust becomes priceless. By the beginning of the 21st century, the 1916 Mercury Dime had earned a reputation unlike almost any other American coin. Not because it was the oldest, not because it contained extraordinary silver, but because history had quietly turned one ordinary production run into an American legend. More than a century has passed since the first 1916 Mercury Dime left the Denver Mint. Yet its remarkable story is far from over. Collectors still speak about it with enormous respect. Not because it's America's oldest dime, not because it's made from an extraordinary metal, but because it represents something every collector understands. True rarity. Only 264,000 were ever struck. Time erased most of them, and every surviving example became a silent witness to American history. Today, owning a genuine 1916 Mercury Dime isn't simply another addition to a collection. For many collectors, it's the achievement they've spent a lifetime chasing. Finding one in exceptional condition is something most enthusiasts only dream about. That reputation was proven once again. In January 2024, during the Florida United Numismatists Convention in Orlando, collectors from across the United States gathered for another major heritage auctions event. Among hundreds of remarkable coins, one extraordinary 1916 Mercury Dime immediately captured everyone's attention. Certified by PCGS as MS67 full bands, it represented everything collectors hoped to find: outstanding preservation, exceptional eye appeal, and one of the finest surviving examples known today. As bidding began, the room quickly grew silent. Offers climbed steadily. Collectors refused to back away. Each new bid pushed the legendary dime even higher. When the auctioneer finally lowered the hammer, the historic coin had sold for approximately $195,000. More than 100 years after it was first struck, a coin originally worth only 10 cents was still rewriting history. Still inspiring fierce competition, still proving that genuine rarity never goes out of style. Just imagine if another forgotten example appeared tomorrow, hidden inside an old family collection, resting quietly inside an antique coin album, or waiting inside a dusty safety deposit box that hadn't been opened for decades. The entire numismatic world would stop. Experts would rush to authenticate it. Auction houses would compete for the opportunity to sell it, and collectors around the world would prepare to bid once again. That's the extraordinary magic of rare American coins. Sometimes, history isn't locked inside museums. Sometimes, it quietly waits inside the smallest objects we overlook every single day. The 1916 Mercury Dime reminds us that one ordinary decision inside a mint can create a legend that survives for generations. If you enjoyed today's documentary, please like this video, subscribe to Old Coin Adventures, And join us as we uncover the remarkable stories hidden inside America's rarest and most valuable coins. Because every old coin carries a story, but only a few become legends. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next adventure.